I'm Heather, and this is Ajagara Yoga. Check it out, we do Pilates as well. Today's class is a sample teaser class that is welcome for everybody. However, it is specifically meant for those who are thinking about becoming my students and would like to see a sample of how I teach and what I have to offer. Now, this class is an all levels class, so there will be positions and moves that are for beginner right through advanced. I want to kind of give a sampling of everything that I am offering. So if you are following along with this video, please keep that in mind. And if a move is not ready for you yet, please don't hurt yourself trying to do it. Sometimes it's just better off to sit back and watch and see what you have to look forward to in the future. So a few things about Pilates for those of you who are new to it is there are a number of different principles that get into, for the lack of a better word, philosophy of Pilates. There are several that we will be concerning ourselves with today. We won't be getting into all of them just for lack of time reasons. The first one is breathe. Always be breathing. It is everybody's habit and our natural tendency to stop breathing and hold our breath when we're concentrating or when we're exerting ourselves. And this is something that in Pilates we absolutely do not want to do. When you are breathing, it makes your core engagement and your muscle engagement go that much easier. I know for myself, I've been practicing Pilates for about 20 years, and I had a few moves that were not on my resume, and I didn't think they ever would be. And believe it or not, I had a yoga instructor that was doing a Pilates workshop, really got into the breathing behind it more than my previous teachers had. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, all of those moves opened up for me within a matter of a couple of weeks. So breathing is a real game changer when you're dealing with Pilates. The next thing is core engagement. Now, what that means is that when you've got your abdominal area, your core, you want to have those muscles engaged at all times. Now, the easiest way to describe it, again, because we're pressed for time and I'm not going to get into a huge explanation, but is when you take a really deep breath in and you just keep going and going and going, and it almost feels like your belly button is going towards your spine. And then you kind of want to press everything up as well. So you're almost kind of going on a swoop up. That's what they call core engagement. It's that feeling that the muscles get when you do that motion. As an easier way to describe it, I always like to say, you know that feeling when you've got a pair of jeans that are just a little too small and you know you can get into them, but it's going to be a struggle. So you're doing that suck in your gut so you can do up the zipper. It's the same motion as that. So to put it blunt, or to put it in oversimplistic terms. So that's something that we always want to do. Again, with Pilates, we are working the core. We are working on strengthening our core. And that won't happen if we are not using our core. Which brings us to the next point that I wanted to mention before we get going. And that is hips and shoulders. Now, most of us are aware that we have hips and shoulders, but we're not always aware of what they're doing. So I'm just going to take a quick second to get you to do some movement exercises with me. We're going to start with our hips, or with our shoulders, and we're just going to kind of move in and out and really feel what your shoulder blades are doing. Like really feel how the muscles are moving, how the bones are moving, how they come together, how they spread out. Go up and down, the same thing. You can feel all of the muscles in your sides are moving with that. Feel free to just kind of move your shoulders around and just really pay attention to what everything is doing. This is going to be important in a little bit. The same goes for your hips. We all know where our hips are, but do we know what they're doing? And are they doing the right thing? I know for myself, for the longest time, whenever I was trying to touch my toes, I was bending from the stomach or the core. That's not your core's job. That's your hip's job. And when I realized that, hey, I need to bend at my hips, not at my waist, I went from my knees to my toes again in a matter of a few weeks. So you need to be using the right body part for the right job. And in Pilates, the right body part is, generally speaking, your core. Your hips and your shoulders want to try to help. And they're nice that way. Unfortunately, sometimes being helpful isn't the best option. So keeping that in mind, we need to keep them flat and out of the way as much as possible. So to do that, unless the exercise specifically calls for a movement that does otherwise, the default position for your shoulders and your hips should always be nice and square and flat on the mat. So if you're finding that you're doing a position or a movement where your, hi Sasha, where your hips are or your shoulders are coming up off the mat, or also too if you're noticing that the small of your back is arching up off the mat against your will, then that is your body telling you that it's not quite ready for the movement that you are putting it through at this time. And you need to kind of dial it back a little bit and work on that until you're ready to try again at the higher level. So it will come, it's just not there quite yet, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's basically what to do. I will be cueing you on breathing quite a bit. You're probably going to get really sick of me saying breathe in, breathe out. I'll also be routinely reminding you to check on where your shoulders and your hips are to make sure that they're always flush on the mat. Again, as I mentioned, unless the actual exercise says that they should be doing otherwise, but otherwise that's your neutral position. So now that we've discussed all that, let's get into it. So we're just going to sit on our mats like usual, or your living room carpet, or whatever it is that you happen to have. So along the line of knowing where our hips are, because that's the one that's the most likely to move because it's such a large muscle group, I want to take a couple of moments just to kind of really feel where your hips are in relation to everything else while you're seated on the mat. So just get comfortable with your hands. I like to just put mine behind me to kind of just take up some weight. And we're just going to take our right leg and we're just going to float it up off the mat a bit and bring it in towards you. And when you do that, you're going to want to notice that that hip on the right leg is staying planted and it's not moving around. It's not going up. It's not going down. It's just right nice and square where it was when we were in the more neutral position. Put your leg back down and do the same with the left. And again, feel how those pelvic sit bones feel and where they are and where, what they're doing. You really, really want to be aware of that. I always find I even start my own practices still with these little exercises just to kind of remind myself where everything is. Especially if I haven't practiced for a couple of weeks or if I've had a big Thanksgiving dinner. There's different things that can sometimes, even subtle adjustments can make a difference on how things feel. So feel free to always come back to that home base occasionally. So we are just going to go back down to our backs. And we're just going to take a quick second to do the same thing. I'm just moving my leg around. I'm not going anywhere in particular, just up, down, around. And again, feeling how that your hip is on the mat in all of these positions so you know what to feel for. And again, keep your hands on your hips so that way you can feel that, yes, they are down where they need to be. All right, and with the other leg, do the same thing. We're just feeling for motion, feeling for movement. Just kind of taking stock of everything at this point before we really get going. All right, and I think we should be good there. We know where our hips are, and again, this is just a sample class, so we're not going to go into this too in depth. So the first exercise that we're going to be doing is called the 100. Basically, the way it works is we're going to put our feet up, depending on your strength level. You'll either want to have them floating up like this, like an upside down tabletop, so to speak, or you can put them right straight up. If you really want a challenge, you can raise or lower your legs as well too. So that way it'll make it a little bit harder for you. Once you have your legs in position, we're going to bring in the arms. Now the arms are going to beat up and down, and I'm going to count, and every time I say a number, you're going to do a beat. So for example, it'll be inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so now that we have the idea, let's put it together. I like to kind of take a little bit of a second to hug in my knees first before I put them back up, because we're going to be there for a bit. All right, let's do it. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Halfway there, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Bring it in. Hug your knees. Roll a little bit from side to side just to kind of get rid of the kinks and massage out your spine. And now that we are done that, return your feet to the floor. And we're going to stretch out completely. Now, I'm going to start this one off with a variation for while you're learning this particular movement. And then we'll go into the full what to do with it. So, for the learning how to do it end of things, you're going to sit with your feet straight out in front of you, or as straight as you possibly can. If you need to have a little micro bend under your knees, or even like a yoga block prop under your knees for comfort, please do so. We want to protect our knees. We do not want any injuries. Now, we're going to hold our hands out like we're holding onto a beach ball. If you have a Pilates ball or an actual beach ball, feel free to grab it, but I'm just going to use an imaginary one for right now. Now, what we're going to do is this exercise is called a roll up, because we're going to eventually roll all the way back to our backs on the floor and then roll up to touch our toes. But let's have a look at how this breaks down first. So you're going to lean back as far as you can before your hips start trying to move or your back starts trying to arch. And then once you hit that point, we're going to hold it for about 3 seconds just to develop some muscle strength. And then we're going to sit back up again. And then maybe the next time you can go a little bit lower. And again, we're going to hold it. And then we're going to go back up. And let's just do this one more time and try to get a little bit lower again. And then we're going to come back up. All right, so find your space of where that is challenging, but you're still able to keep everything where it belongs. Now, for those of us who will be doing the full version, it looks like this. We're going to take our beach ball and we're going to lower down slowly, 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 vertebrae by vertebrae at a time. And we're going to keep extending our arms over our heads. Now on the inhale, we're going to raise our arms up to the sky. On the exhale, we're going to bring the rest of us up and over. So I'm going to start that over again so I can breathe properly myself to show you exactly how this looks. Okay, so if you haven't already tried that with me, let's do it again. We're going to take our beach ball and we're going to slowly, 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 slowly curl our way down one vertebrae at a time. Keep your arms going to extend. Inhale. Exhale. Good job. Now, it's okay if your feet want to kind of lift a little bit when you're doing this. That's natural. That's okay. As long as your back doesn't arch and your hips stay planted and everything goes up nice and smooth, you're perfectly okay that way. Don't worry about the feet as much, but you will eventually want to have those steady as well. So our next exercise is called our single leg stretch. So for this one, again, we're going to go back down slowly, 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 slowly. Even if you can't make it back up, try to make it down. Even if you're using your hands for brakes or for balance to do it, that really helps you to build up those muscles. And again, remember to engage the core at all times. So for this one, we are going to bring our knees up to our chest. I like to call this pebble position because I feel like a little rock. And we're going to raise our shoulders and our heads up off of the ground. Now, if you're finding that this is straining your neck, you might want to put a Pilates block or a pillow or something underneath you, because it's better to get a little bit of stretch out of your neck but no pressure than to put pressure on your neck if you don't have the shoulder strength to do this. So now that we're here, we're going to straighten our left leg out. If you're able to float it above the ground by about 4 or 6 inches, that's what you want to do. If you're not able to float it yet, then just put it on the ground. That's perfectly okay. You can also bend that leg if you're not able to do it straight. So there are a number of variations. So now that we're here, we're going to straighten the right leg as much as possible. And we're going to grab it as high up towards the foot as you possibly can. So if that's the thigh, the knee, the shin, wherever you happen to end up, go there. You're going to want to pull your leg towards you. It's a nice flexibility strength exercise. Again, engage that core. If you need, you should always have a little bit of a micro bend in your knee. I don't know if you can see that there with me, to protect the joints. You don't want to risk injury. So especially because we're pulling on the leg, you want to have a bit of a bend there to take up some cushion. So once we've done that, we're going to switch legs. Inhale on the hold and pull. Exhale on the switch. And we're going to do this for 5, and we've already done 3. So we're almost there already. All right, we are good. Good job. Bring it in for a little pebble hug. I'm just going to shift down a little bit because my camera. Now this particular pose, I'm actually going to go on a little bit of a diagonal. I know it's a bit of a weird thing to look at, but it's just because I'm going to fall off the camera and you won't be able to see what I'm doing unless I do this kind of a position. This is our double leg stretch. Now for this one, back to our little pebble position, and again with our necks and our shoulders up off the ground lifted. Now what we're going to do here is on the exhale, we're going to spread wide open. So we're going to do this. And then on the inhale, we're going to come back in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And one more for luck. Exhale. Inhale. Good work. I know that one really does feel that. You really do feel that one in the abs, especially if you are not engaging them. You will really feel it a lot worse. So remember, always be tightening up your jeans. So our next thing that we will be doing is called a teaser. Now there's several different teaser variations. Right now we're going to do the second one. This one starts off with you laying on your back and your legs up like this. Now, personally, I find that's actually one of the more difficult ways of approaching this one. So again, I'm not doing a gazillion modifications. I'm just going to start with one of the easier ways to do this. Easier, relatively speaking. And we're just going to put our hands behind our backs for some balance. And then we're going to start off with our legs straight. And here we go. You might want to put your hands with your fingers facing forward, depending on where you find your best leverage. Breathe out. Breathe in to lower them. Breathe out. Breathe in to lower. Breathe out. Breathe in to lower. Breathe out. Breathe in to lower. Good job. I know that one is really hard. We are now going into some of the more advanced exercises, as if you couldn't tell by that last teaser. These ones are involving shoulder stands. A couple of them are anyway. So if you have issues with your necks or your shoulders, and you don't want any kind of pressure put on them. It's like if you've had injuries or if you just don't like the feeling, if you have vertigo and have balance issues, stay away from this particular exercise. It is advanced, and if you've got a pre-existing condition going into it, you can get hurt. The other thing with this particular exercise is that when we get into it, we do not want to roll into it. You have no control. And if you don't already have an injured neck, you're risking getting one. So I will show you the proper way to get into it. If you're not able to get into it that way yet, then sit back, take a breather, maybe go to child's pose if you know what that is from yoga or other disciplines, and just watch this one because I don't want anybody getting hurt here. So for the jackknife, what we are going to be doing is, again, we're going to roll back down, hands by our sides, knees up to our chest. This all looks familiar so far. Now where it gets a little bit different is we're going to lift ourselves up and over. Now we do not want to touch the floor on the jackknife. We're not doing a plow. Plow would be like that with the feet. I don't know if my feet went off camera. But in this particular one, we don't want the feet to touch the floor. We just want our legs to be about more or less parallel or as close as you can get, and keep them straight. Now on the exhale, we're going to straighten our back and our pelvis so we're more or less up and right like a candle. And you want to pull in your pelvis as much as you can to get as straight as you can. And on the exhale now, you're going to lower to about halfway. And then you're going to go back up. And then you're going to repeat. Back down. Roll. Go back up. Lift up. Inhale down. Exhale, lower further. Inhale back to neutral. In this position, neutral. Exhale back up. Go back. This time we're going to go back down to our regular neutral parallel position to the floor. And then keep your knees as close to your nose as possible for as long as you can. And slowly, vertebrae, go down and lower until you are back on the floor. So that is a jackknife. You're going to want to learn how to do shoulder stands first, but that is where you can eventually go with it. The next thing that I have for you is called the teaser part 3. Personally, I actually find this one's a little bit easier than the one that we did a few minutes ago. I'm going to admit, even though I can do the one that we did a few minutes ago, I don't like to, so that's why I did the easier version, so shh. For the teaser 3, this one looks a little scarier, but like I said, I find it's a little easier. So we're going to go back down, and it's kind of like a roll-up. Add a roll-up to a teaser like what we saw earlier with the legs. So in this case, what we're going to do is, just like before, we're going to inhale with the arms up. And then this time when we exhale, we're going to bring both our torso and our legs up. So it'll look like this. All right, so what do you think? Can we do 2 more of these? Exhale. And 1 more. Inhale. Exhale. And then down. And I kind of lost it a little bit there. I got up. I had a little bit of problems getting down. So that is our teaser 3. I find as a tip for that, if you start going up with your torso just like a mini tiny fraction of a second before you start with the legs, it can really help to get you up. I know for myself, I had the strength long before I had the coordination to do it. And just taking that little half of a second in between made all of the difference for me. So it might be something to try if that is a movement that you have been struggling with. I know for myself that really helped. That and the breathing, again, I cannot stress enough how much the breathing will help you with your roll-ups and your teasers and all of your flip overs, like your plows and all that good stuff. So speaking of flipping over, we are going to move into boomerangs. These are interesting. Let's have a look at it. Again, too, this is an advanced move. And again, if you have neck or shoulder injuries, please don't do it. So the way that it looks is you're going to start off with your legs crossed at the ankles. And we're going to roll down with our beach ball. We're going to keep our hands at our sides. Now what we're going to do here is you're going to use a lot of ab control. So really engage those abs before you get lift off on this. Is you're going to lift your legs up and you're going to go over and you're going to touch down your toes to the floor if you are able to do that. I think I'm off camera a little bit with my feet, but I'm still there. Now, once you've gotten as far extended down as you can, whether it be your toes or not, you're going to switch your legs over. So if you had your right leg on top, now you've got your left leg on top. So once we've done that, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. We're going to roll down the same way that we did for jackknife. And then we're going to go up. We're going to hold our legs up. We're going to hold our arms like that. Flop over. Get a good back stretch. And then swan your arms around to grab your feet. And then raise back up to seated. Now, normally you would do about 3 of these on each side. When you go back over again, you're going to keep that left leg on top instead of the right leg. I'm only going to do the one because, again, I know this is a more advanced pose. I just wanted to show it off. But we're not really going to spend a lot of time on it after right now. 2 more things to go. I promise we're almost done. So the first one is our leg pull down. I hope you like planks because this is really not a nice plank. So what we're going to do is just start off, make sure that your shoulders to your elbows to your wrists are all nice and squarely stacked away. We want to make sure that we're all nice and lined there because that's going to help take some of the pressure off of your back. It'll also make things feel a little bit lighter because the bones themselves are taking the weight as opposed to the muscles. So from there, we are going to hope that this yoga mat holds out. It's a brand new one. I don't know how slippery it's going to be. So we're going to go into plank and then we're going to, on an inhale, raise that leg. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale down. And we're going to push forward on our toes a bit so our bodies move forward. And we're going to lower down into just on our bellies, and our fingers should be pretty close to your breastbone or rib cage if we have done that right. Now we are going to say goodnight to this practice. And to do this, we are just going to curl up, bring it back, and go into child's pose still on the camera. So for child's pose, you can either sit on your heels with your knees together and stretch it out like this. It gives a really good upper shoulder stretch. Or you can widen your legs so that way they are right against the edges, and that'll give you more of a stretch. It'll extend more into your middle back, as well as I can feel it in my ribs and abdominals as well. So you want to try to get your elbows right to the floor, as well as your nose and your forehead. If you're a bit more flexible, you might even want to put some yoga blocks underneath your hands to kind of intensify that stretch. I'm just going to sit here for a second. All right. We are officially done. One other thing that I would like to show you though is it's a great way to end a workout. It's also really good if you're having a stressful day. A lot of people find this to be really relaxing, and it's also good for a workout because it puts everything into a nice neutral position. And that is, find yourself a wall, scoosh up to it as much as you can, put your legs up, put your head down, and get comfortable. Hi, am I waving at the camera? Hi. And just do this. Sometimes it's nice to even just grab your cell phone or read a book or something and just do something relaxing while you're in this position. And it does feel nice on the back after a workout. So just throwing that out there as a non-official part of the class. So I would like to thank everybody for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully I will see or hear from you in the future. And even if I don't, I'm glad you were able to join us. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and have a terrific rest of your afternoon or morning or whatever this is for you.